I recently had a conversation with someone who's interested in a whole life insurance policy. Cash value is his goal. That's exactly what he's interested in. But he had some really good questions. He said, when I look at the illustrations, they look beautiful long term. But the illustrations assume that I'm paying in a large dollar amount every year. $100,000 per year was one of the examples. So I think I can do that based on my income. However, my income sometimes fluctuates. I receive a lot of bonuses. And what I'm worried about is if I have years where my bonuses are not that high, what will the illustration look like, or the policy values look like potentially, if I'm not able to fund that $100,000 per year? Can you show me some alternatives? What does it look like if I start out with $100,000, but then I pay just the minimum premium of $10,000? And then every few years or every 5 years, I throw in another 100 grand. What happens if I can't add anything extra for a long time and then make a big catch-up contribution to make up for lost time? What would the numbers look like? Because this is a reality when it comes to whole life insurance. Imagine if you're interested in a policy, you want to maximize the cash value. We show you numbers, or any agent shows you numbers of max funding a policy, and the performance looks beautiful. But then you actually start the policy and you're not able to fund it at the illustrated level. That will impact the performance. One, you'll have less money in cash value because you paid less into the policy. But two, when you look at how a policy functions from a cash value standpoint, if I add less into PUAs, especially during the early years, the first 2 years, you will see that internal rate of return will take longer to get to its height, as opposed to a policy where I'm max funding it year in and year out, especially the first 2 years. So let's take a look at exactly that. So someone had reached out through our website, ibcglobalinc.com. If you're at the stage where you're ready to start a policy, you'll see 2 options on our site after you click start here. You'll see ready to start a policy, I know what I want, or I'm ready to start a policy, but I would like some guidance. This individual wanted some guidance. So some details here. He's 40 years old. As far as the company selection, he's unsure, but flexibility is very important to him. We're going to talk about flexibility when we look at the examples, because that's very important. Just knowing what the insurance company and product that you select, knowing what you can and cannot do with that product is very important to be able to make sure you can fund it how you want to fund it as time passes. So on the funding, what he wanted to see is this. This is him. Show me the best case scenario, but also show me the worst case scenario. And what was extremely helpful is he provided one of his personal worst case scenarios. He has a good sense as to what he can fund the policy with, but he wants to see that what if scenario. What if I can't do what I think I could, which would look like this? We'll show you in a minute when we look at the illustrations. But the amount we're going to look at in this video is $100K per year. The number of years, we'll look at funding it anywhere from 5 to 25 years. I'll add that he is interested in funding it for a longer period of time, 25 years. He is interested in using the policy for real estate. Most people we work with are. The companies we'll look at, 2 of the 4 major mutual companies that offer a lot of flexibility, Mass Mutual and Guardian. What I want to hit on here are some of the key differences with funding with respect to flexibility, because when it comes to payment flexibility and someone's making a decision here, that flexibility, particularly around that PUA rider, which is you accelerating the cash value growth, that's often what helps individuals refine their decision-making process, meaning they make a selection based on the flexibility, whether they want to fund for a short period of time, want to be able to add money at discretion, or pay in for a long period of time. And I will cover some details here. So the illustrations we are going to look at is as follows. First, we've got Guardian. Option a best case scenario illustration. Max funding a policy at $100,000 per year for 5 years. The design on that policy, the base premium, is $10,000. It's actually a little bit less than that, but the true minimum, the base plus the term rider, is $10,000 per year. So we've got a policy where he can commit to $10,000, but then add up to $100,000 per year. And we're going to assume that he adds up to $100K per year every year for 5 years, gets $500,000 into the policy, and then stops forever. Then we'll look at option B, which is more of a worst case scenario for him, which is $10,000 per year, but then $100,000 every 5th year. One side note to add to that is in the first year, he's starting with a lump sum of $100K. So it's $100K year 1, then $10,000 per year thereafter, but then in year 5, $100K. In year 10, $100K. So he's committing to that minimum amount. He knows he can hit that, and then says, what's it look like if I only add $100,000 every 5th year, with the exception again of the first year, that lump sum. So that request I liked a lot, because that is something that's very beneficial to see, because it won't look like this. The question is, what does it look like, and are you still comfortable with it after you see it? Then we've got MassMutual, which we've got some similar scenarios here. We've got $100K per year for 25 years. Instead of 5 years, MassMutual you can fund for a longer period of time with that same setup being a minimum base premium of, guess what, $10,000. So the same design in that respect, base premium of $10K, but you can fund for 25 years. Then we've got that worst case scenario, his worst case scenario, $10K per year, with $100K added every 5th year. And then we can call this a bonus option, which is a catch-up contribution. What you'll see is the $100K lump sum in year 1, which is what he wants to do, but then $10K per year thereafter, actually be $15K when you look at the numbers, but a minimum amount thereafter, and then a large catch-up payment. You'll see $600,000 added in year 10. And we'll go through exactly how that's done as well. So before we look at the numbers, what's beneficial here? He wants flexibility. What's the difference with these two carriers? If I asked you, would you know? Guardian is a company that will allow him to commit to the minimum base premium, $10,000 per year, and then 100% at leisure, he can add additional funds into PUAs, the additional $90,000. And this is at leisure. He does not have to do it. But how it works is literally I can add an extra $10,000 some years. Some years it might be $50,000. I can add those funds every other week. I can do it one time per year. Very, very flexible. It entails you going on an online portal, a mobile app, mailing in a check, or sending in a wire transfer. Very flexible when it comes to adding money into the PUA rider. So it's 100% at leisure. That's often what people like when it comes to flexibility. But then MassMutual, how their flexibility works, it's not as easy with them just to add PUAs at discretion. If you wanted the same level of flexibility that Guardian offers with MassMutual, some type of medical underwriting is likely going to be involved. But the difference with them is when you adjust your PUA payment, say you adjust it to $90K for a total of $100 when you add the two, this can be adjusted one time per year without medical underwriting. We simply adjust the total dollar amount, and then we send the total amount to MassMutual that we'd like to fund the policy with that year, which will be demonstrated here, because what we're going to do, start off with a lump sum of $100K, but then when we look at option B, is scale it down to close to the minimum premium, and then every 5th year, scale it back up, then scale it back down for 5 years, and continue that pattern. Want to look at some numbers? Let's look at some numbers. Let's begin with the Guardian illustration, because I just want to hit on the design here. Because when you look at a policy, if you're looking at different what-if scenarios, where we see the $100K for 5 years, and then $100K every 5th year, what we want to make sure of as the policyholder is that the policy, that actual illustration, is identical. Because I want the exact same policy, but I want to know what the differences are. Meaning the difference, if I fund different amounts, not the maximum dollar amount, what will things look like? Because if I use a different design for both scenarios, it's a different policy. The design has to be identical, and then the purpose of this exercise is to show different funding scenarios. So when we look at this, what we've got, there's our net premium, 100K per year. Minimum, we talked about that minimum of $10,000. There's the base. Here's our term insurance rider. Add those two together, just about 10K, a little bit less, but when we come up with a minimum of 10,000 per year, it's those two added together. And then PUAs, we can add on an unscheduled basis. Here it's scheduled for a clean dollar amount of $100,000 per year. So this looks good, right? There's your cash value, break-even point between years 3 and 4. So same thing. Let's go back to the 5-year. There's your death benefit. There's the base premium, term rider. Next illustration. Base premium, term rider, death benefit, first year cash value, everything's the same. What's different? There's the 10K that he's committing to every year and wants to see that 100K every 5th year. We can scroll down here as well. But what you'll also notice, one different term here, look at that. We are illustrating an unscheduled PUA rider. I like to show this because it just demonstrates or displays the word unscheduled, which means it's really up to the client. If it's unscheduled, it's not going to be billed with scheduled PUAs and the base premium. Cash value performance, still close to breaking even year 5. That first year lump sum is really what accelerates the cash value. Also, we've got a 40-year-old individual that received the top health rating. We can scroll down a bit, and then we'll look at a side-by-side here, which will be pretty cool. There it is, funding for 25 years, up until age 65. Let's take a look, shall we? So here, we've got the exact same thing. These are the two illustrations, just broken down a little bit differently. For 5 years, says that looks fantastic. But here's what I'd like to see, Steve. Instead of 100K per year for 5 years, show me $100,000 every 5 years or every 5th year. So we've got here highlighted in yellow, every 5th year, except for the end actually, we didn't do it there. 100K going in. What's highlighted in this light yellow color over here, break-even point. Just about year 5, year 6, you are positive. There's the additional 90K going in. And by the way, he doesn't have to do this. With this policy, he might start out like this, but then in year 3, he adds another 30K in, then 70 here, then nothing for a long time, then he makes a big catch-up payment and does 200,000. My point is, he's got that flexibility, which is nice. So that's the Guardian sample side by side. Let's wrap up with the Mass Mutual sample, which we will begin with the illustration. 100K per year for 5 years? No, for 25 years. Long time. So we're showing a very heavily funded policy here. And when we look at a breakdown as to where the money is going, there's your base premium at $10,000. We've got $5,000 going toward LISR, which is a combination of PUAs and term insurance. Looks good. When we look at the every 5-year illustration, I just want to highlight something here. This could easily be very close to 10K. We could get it to about 11 or 12K per year. Why I say that is because with Mass, we do like to put enough toward LISR to satisfy the cost of that term. So what I did was put 2,000 there. So this could easily be 12K per year. But then I've got 3,000 going towards scheduled AILR as well. I did that for flexibility purposes with Mass. Sometimes we want to round up a little bit. My point is, Guardian, we looked at 10K. Mass, we're looking at 15K. That can be lowered. But again, just try to keep it close to 10 and then just round up to 15 because it's a clean number in my mind, makes it easy to track. But same pattern here. where we've got that 100K every 5th policy year. And then, well, let's look at the side by side. Okay. So as we look at this, what do we notice? A lot of consistencies. There's the max fund example. How about the example with every 5th year? Very close in year 5. It continues to compound. Want to look at that bonus scenario? Well, before we look at that, this helps people. I've noticed quite a bit. It provides peace of mind. If it's me, I would have peace of mind seeing this because the max funding illustration looks great. High cash value up front, early break-even point. Okay, I see all this money that I'll have in cash value and this huge death benefit, but it's assuming I plug away 100 grand per year every year. And the same is true if we're looking at 300,000, which this individual has considered, and he asked about seeing 300K per year. But my point is, regardless of the dollar amount, when you're max funding it at a high level, it's going to look good. But what does it look like if I add less? How much less do I have in value? But then more importantly, how does it impact the performance, the break-even point and such? This large lump sum up front does help him quite a bit. But let's look at the bonus scenario now, which is, come on, this guy. All right. So this is pretty cool. What do you notice about this? What we've got here, 100K in year 1, but then what? 15K per year. Then what happens here? Year 10, a big old catch-up payment, and our total dollar amount we add that year is $600,000. You know what I like about this? This often results in the, I didn't know you could do that. How does that work? We have to add the proper riders. In this example, you do need a 1-year term rider to prevent medical underwriting. And how it prevents a MEC, because the annual MEC limit in this policy is 100K, is remember, unused MEC space does roll over year to year. So what that means is if your MEC limit is 100K in year 1 and you pay in 100K, you got nothing left. You exhausted the MEC limit. Year 2, you pay in 15K. Your MEC limit was 100K. That means there's 85,000 left over that you didn't add. Every year, that $85,000 rolls over through year 7. Then the 7-pay test is going to have a different limit. The MEC limit will be different, but you'll constantly get the rollover space. So what it allows is individuals to make a large catch-up payment without triggering a MEC. It's easy to forecast, and a lot of times when we work with clients, they'll ask, what's the maximum amount I can pay into the policy without a MEC? Like, what's my maximum non-MEC premium or non-MEC contribution you'll hear, or the insurance company will have that type of verbiage on the advisor portal. But it's nice because it shows clients they can do that. And what really, really helps here is if someone wants the ability to fund 100K per year, but they're trying to figure out, do I want to go higher, perhaps with a 200K MEC limit? If you feel that this might be something realistic where you'll have several years where you're paying the minimum or a low dollar amount, well, that means you can go with a lower policy, a smaller death benefit, a lower base premium, because you can bank on some of that MEC space rolling over. But at the same time, we get the objection there or some remorse from individuals that say, I wish I would have started a little bit higher on the MEC limit because they're tapped out on the MEC space. But anyway, it's always a personal decision. Having information and seeing scenarios like this helps quite a bit because what do we look at to recap? We looked at one Guardian policy and one Mass Mutual policy. We looked at different funding illustrations with each of them, but there weren't multiple illustrations where he has to pick either the first or second one with Guardian or the first, second, or third with Mass Mutual. It's either I pick option A with Guardian, option B with Mass Mutual, depending on what company I'm more comfortable with. And then I can just see the different funding illustrations here. And now I have more comfort as to what the policy looks like, then I can really execute as the years pass. So I hope you enjoyed this one. I had a ton of fun with it because I loved the question that came through. We were working together, had a very productive phone call, sent some illustrations, and then he came back with this question saying, what does it look like if I do this? This is what I'm really interested in because everybody shows me the max funded scenarios. So here's what it will look like. If you did enjoy this video, please hit the like button, subscribe for more, and as always, I hope this helps. Thank you so much. Hey guys, Steve here with IBC Global. Thank you so much for watching the video. If you're interested in a whole life insurance policy and you'd like to work with our company in setting it up, please visit our website, ibcglobalinc.com. We would love to work with you. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. And as always, I hope this helps.